Life's not fair, and neither is politics. In such a ruthless game, people will do whatever it takes to destroy the other side. They'll make up accusations against their political opponents, they'll dig up wrongdoings from when they were 6 years old, they'll even block bills that would be good for their constituents just to make others look bad. But perhaps there's no dirtier trick in politics than gerrymandering. But what is gerrymandering? Well, every 10 years, the United States does their census in which they get the total of number of people in each state. Based on that census, congressional maps in each state need to be redrawn in order to account for more or less districts. However, there's certain ways to draw these maps that can favor your party more than they should be, which ends up leading to unfair representation in Congress. The two main ways of gerrymandering are cracking and packing. Cracking is dividing your opposing party's voters across a ton of different districts, allowing your more collective majority to win more seats. Packing is when you surrender certain districts by putting as much of the opposition into them as possible so that you can more easily win other districts. The most effective gerrymanders utilize both techniques in order to maximize the amount of seats that their party gets. Before we move forward, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe. It should only take a couple of seconds, it's free, and you can always change your mind later. It really helps people like me who come from a very underrepresented side of the media, fighting for common sense solutions from a center-leaning point of view. Getting back to the main point, gerrymandering is a weapon as old as the United States. In 1812, Massachusetts Governor Elbridge Gerry signed the first gerrymander, redistricting the states to help his party, the Democratic Republicans. One of these districts looked kind of like a salamander, and combined with the governor's name, created the term gerrymander. But you probably care more about the modern usage of it. Prior to the 2022 midterm elections, all states had to redraw their maps because the new census was in. Naturally, they tried to gerrymander their maps, in which many of them succeeded. Let's take a look at a few examples. Florida is one of the more egregious examples of gerrymandering. In the old map, while it definitely had more Republican-leaning seats, there was plenty of ground that Democrats could make up for. In fact, many of them did, considering that most of the competitive seats were held by Democrats. But the new map destroyed these seats, turning them into Republican-leaning ones. As you can see, the safe Democratic district in Upper Florida got cracked, putting their constituents into 3 safely Republican ones. Then, down here in Orlando, which is a heavily Democratic city, voters were packed from 4 districts into just 2, allowing Republicans to control the surrounding area. Texas is another good example of gerrymandering. At first, you might look at the seat distribution and think that this map looks fair, but there's more here than what meets the eye. Most of the competitive seats were held by Democrats who were electoral titans. There was almost no shot of Republican winning them anyways. So Republicans ceded a ton of these districts just to turn a couple of them Republican-leaning, which ultimately would net them a few seats. But it's not like Democrats are immune to these tactics either. Let's take a look at Illinois. Just looking at it, you can tell that this map is incredibly ugly. Chicago was turned into like a million districts, spreading the city's influence throughout the state into less populated areas. And look at what happened in Springfield. Democrats packed Republicans into surrounding districts just to give the city its own Democratic-leaning district. These tactics have created a ton of problems in Congress. I mentioned this in my video about term limits, which you can watch here, but this is why so many dipshit politicians stay in Congress forever. Voters aren't given a real choice, since one party just dominates the district. It's unfair to those voters, because it means that their congressional representatives aren't actually representing them. It also breeds extremism, as the only real election happens in the primaries, so voters can be as partisan as they want with their picks. It also just kind of leads to really stupid results. In 2020, Democrats won the House popular vote by 3 points, and only ended up with a tiny 5-seat majority. It's bad for Republicans too. The same exact thing happened to them in 2022. So, how do we fix this? Unfortunately, one party can't just take the high road here and not gerrymander. That would mean getting decimated in Congress and having no say, which could lead to further gerrymanders in policy, which could further diminish their power. So maybe we could go through a legal route. Plenty of states that attempted a gerrymander in 2022 ended up not keeping their maps because they were struck down by the courts. In New York, Democrats lost a gerrymander that would have given them a commanding lead in their state's congressional delegation, since their state Supreme Court decided the map to be unconstitutionally gerrymandered. And in my home state of North Carolina, Republicans lost a gerrymander that would have cemented a Republican congressional delegation for the exact same reason. The state Supreme Court ruled against them. This actually resulted in one of the fairest maps in the country, perfectly encapsulating the state. Equal representation between Democrats and Republicans with a slight Republican lead. Unfortunately, after the 2022 midterm elections, the ideological leanings of these courts changed, so now both maps are set to be replaced by the original gerrymanders for 2024 and beyond. We're back to the drawing board. So with those out of the way, what is the solution? Well, it's to limit the power that politicians have in the process. For too long, our maps have been super political because it was our politicians drawing and choosing them. The key is to just take it out of their hands. Plenty of states have independent redistricting commissions to put maps in place. These states had some of the fairest maps by 538's measures, such as Michigan and Colorado. The staff on these commissions are nonpartisan, and seek feedback on the public before choosing a final map. By getting as many states as possible to choose this as their approach to redistricting ahead of 2030, there's a chance that the future of our politics could look a lot brighter. But if you disagree with me or feel like I left anything out, feel free to leave a comment and I'll do my best to respond. If you enjoyed the video, I strongly encourage you to like and subscribe. These conversations are important to have, and I'm always going to be pushing to find the right and clear answers. Thanks for watching.